All right, folks. Now, normally we're talking about the greatest transfer of wealth in world history, but it can go the other way too, right? As we're now witnessing the greatest destruction of wealth in world history. That's right, folks. Take a look at it right here from Jacob King, talking about over 3.8 trillion has now been wiped out from the stock market and crypto markets within the last week. This crash is now ranked the largest destruction of wealth in history. Now, so often I've talked about this. I say, hey, this is the greatest transfer of wealth in world history, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get on the right side of it, right? We got to make sure that we're positioned, making the proper moves and investments. And this, also comes into our business and our personal lives to make sure that we're prepared mentally, emotionally, because on days like today, you're going to need that. You're going to need to have your head right to be able to ride out a storm like this one that is literally now the greatest destruction of wealth in world history at 3.8 trillion just within this last week. And are we done? That's the big question that remains. This started in Japan, and now we also see Taiwan's stock market crashes to the worst day in 57 years. Japan's stock market crashing at a pace that we haven't seen in the past 13 years. So we all should have been paying attention here, because this was just a few days ago. Jim Cramer says, NASDAQ futures dropping as if it's the end of the world. Memo to all, it isn't. So that should have been the signal that we picked up on. And, the question remains, how much more downside do we have? I am of the opinion that we do have more. I don't think that we're done. And I've been talking about this correction before the election. I said that there's no way that we make it to this election without something falling out. And it's starting in Japan. And it just shows you how closely intertwined our global markets are at this point. The fact that Japan's breaking down and it's having ripple effects over here. I mean, Taiwan's market hasn't crashed like this in 57 years. And we've never seen so much value just evaporate. And so just as quickly as it goes up, just as quickly as we can all have a good time, it can come crashing down. And this is why I've been, saying, hey, I got cash on the sidelines right now. Yes, my bags are packed. Yeah, I'm not selling. But I've been waiting to stack. I've been waiting for these levels, and I didn't think that we were in the clear. It comes through today. Now, is it going to be the end of the world? Hopefully not. We're praying for peace, but we must ask the question, have the markets even priced in World War III? I mean, World War III is already going on, but look at where we're at now, folks. Iran informing neighboring countries that it's preparing to attack Israel. Now, this goes back to last week, ever since, one of the main commanders there of Hamas and Hezbollah, they lost some leaders. And so Iran's been vowing to respond since last week. They haven't responded yet. Everybody's kind of been on the edge of their seats. And that's obviously part of the market downturn, but nothing's happened yet, right? And so is it a buy the rumor, sell the news? Well, I think it's going to be a pray, and pray some more that this doesn't actually come about. But once again, this is just one of many other catalysts, I think, that draw us down even further. Now, while the markets are crashing and everything's going to heck in a handbasket, well, the stock market's crashing and Joe Biden's economic advisor quits. Here's a statement from Joe on Jane Sperling stepping down. Interesting time to step off, say goodbye, right? Hand it on over. I mean, don't get me started. I mean, where's Joe at, right? Where is this administration at? Who is running this country? We're on the brink of World War III. We have civil war basically breaking out in England and other countries right now. Our countries, there's plenty of tension here. Our economy's going to hell. And then where are we at? We don't even know where we're at. We can't even get our president to come out on a daily basis and speak to reporters and take some questions that aren't scripted, right? I mean, folks, this is why we've been set up, especially here in the United States. This is a setup, global macro events unfolding here before us. And a lot of Americans up until now have been thinking, hey, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, Japan's having some issues. Not a big deal. Oh, they're dumping our treasuries. That's fine. Our Fed can buy them, right? Our Fed can just add another few trillion of assets to their balance sheet. No problem, right? But this only compounds the main issue, which is countries around the world ditching our dollars at the fastest pace since the great financial crisis, ditching our treasuries at the fastest pace ever. And you've already seen devastation in the markets so quickly, just evaporating wealth in, just a few trading days. We literally have lost over, $3-4 trillion just like that. Now, continuing on here, of course, the trading platforms are also shutting down. How convenient, right? Well, here we take a look at it. Multiple brokerages, including Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, UPS, CenturyLink, and Interactive Brokers are currently down and reporting errors amid market crashes. And I reminded everybody that the XRP Ledger decentralized exchange is working just fine. And that right there is the main point that we've been talking about, right? With all these systems that every time there's an issue, they go down, even in the cryptocurrency space. When we're still seeing issues right now, actually, in the crypto space with all of our exchanges, they're giving folks a hard time, giving folks issues, orders not going through. We just had over $1 billion of liquidations in the past 24 hours, right? And during these volatile moves, there's always so much liquidations because the exchanges don't get your order to go through. They just mess up. But this is why we have been so bullish on the fundamental thesis of XRP as a neutral bridge currency. But it's the native currency to a DEX and an XRP ledger that just doesn't go down, right? As long as the internet's still rolling, as long as everything's still alive, this exchange, the decentralized exchange, is still going. And it's not halting trades. It's not stopping. There is no downtime. In the last 10 years, this thing's just operated flawlessly. So while everything's going down, while everything's going, here we go with the XRP ledger, just operating just as smooth as could be, just fine over here. And this is why I'm excited. We talked about it last week. We got $10 million investment from Ripple into tokenized treasury bills. And this is just the start of real world assets and equities, private equity too, all coming along with commodities, real estate, and other deals coming to the XRP Ledger DEX where we can freely trade them, right? One asks, why do we need to put these assets on the decentralized exchange? Why do we need to put them on the XRP Ledger? We have all these different platforms already, right? Because you go to real-time settlement where the fee is a fraction of a penny and there is no downtime. There is no middleman that's going to stop you from sending a transaction through. Now, of course, Peter Schiff takes advantage of the Bitcoin crash here to talk about how Bitcoin, and this is an example of why Bitcoin will never be a reserve asset for any major government or central bank. A reserve asset must have relatively low volatility. It needs to be readily sold when needed. It can't crash more than assets it's supposed to hedge. And it's been interesting to watch because although gold has taken a beating too, it actually has already popped back up. But Jim Rickards explains what's happening right here. For those new to gold, here's the deal. In a stock market meltdown, gold goes down due to selling by weak hands who need cash from margin calls. The strong hands take a beat, wait for a bottom, then they jump in with both feet because they know it's way up from here. Now, if you're smart like Jim Rickards and other investors who understand gold, understand what a real store of value is, and you're looking to pick some up as well, I got you covered at my website, ZachRector.com. We got precious metals for you, roll over a 401k retirement account. And now, ideally, you would have already made this move. We've been talking about this, and ideally, you would have already taken profits on the 401k in your retirement account, and you would have rolled it on over, at least into cash. And so you had some liquid cash ready to deploy for a moment like this when gold gets beat up with everything else, and then you can move in and buy it. Silver gets beat up like everything else, you can move in and buy it because it's not going to last. And gold, despite, coming down a little bit, slightly, it's already back above 2,400 and it's holding very well. And one thing that I've noticed, I'm looking across Twitter and this, Twitter land and crypto Twitter especially, is the amount of degens that have just been margin called. These guys are liquidated. These guys are bust. And these guys were all permabulls. These guys were the ones that were trying to clown me, trying to clown the bears. And it's not even because I was, trying to be different than everybody else, trying to be the big bad bear. It's like, no, there's just legitimate concerns. And if a few things happen here, we break in a major way. And now we're watching and witnessing the greatest destruction of wealth in world history. And these doofus morons are getting absolutely liquidated, as they should, for being over-levered, irresponsibly over-levered. Meanwhile, they were telling everybody the East's about to pop because the ETF's coming. Bitcoin's going to do something because whatever story they make up. The stock market's fine, don't worry. Nvidia's going to keep on going up. Everything's just going to keep on going up. And all these guys are getting cleaned, as they deserve to be cleaned out. And I hope that people are starting to see what it is out here in this space. There's a lot of pretenders, a lot of folks that want to pretend, and they show up when it's fair weather fans. And they show up when everything's right, and they only know how to be bullish. Their program only works when the markets continue going up. They aren't prepared for moments like this, like our community has been, right? Now we take a look real quick. Going to show you this one, final data point. You guys sold all your coins, but BlackRock, MicroStrategy, Grayscale, Fidelity didn't. And that's how this game works. Is there's little pawns in this game that got over leveraged, overhyped, over bullish. They're getting liquidated because they're getting margin called, while the biggest institutions in the world aren't flinching. In fact, I expect them to continue buying actually as these opportunities continue to present themselves. Now, as far as the opportunities go, here's a 30.5% correction for you on your Bitcoin, just from the recent highs of 70,000 after the Trump Nashville Bitcoin conference speech. As I told you guys, buy the rumor, sell the news. By the time Trump's speaking, it's going to crash. It did. One final bounce back up 24 hours after he spoke because he told everybody that we're going to be Bitcoin hodlers. So everybody gets excited. One last pump up to 70,000. And then what? 30% clean out liquidation event, wiping out the greatest destruction of wealth in world history. Thank you for playing. Thank you for participating. Try again next bull run. XRP, back to our levels, 42 cents, exactly where we had our targets. We said, hey, XRP's no different. Despite how bullish I am, my thesis is so solid on XRP. It has not changed one bit, but not for 1 second did I say that XRP wouldn't go down as well unless we had truly decoupled, and that's only going to happen if that lawsuit concludes. If that lawsuit concludes, then and when it does, it's not a matter of if it will, it's an inevitable. It's inevitability that it's going to happen. When it does, it will break out. It will decouple. But we haven't done so yet, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's to be expected. The XRP's at sub 50 cents. Once again, as we record this, we're at 48.9, bounce back up. But where did we go? Right to our trend line, right to the level that we were ready. I've been talking about this level going back since the start of this year. And sure enough, we've back tested it multiple times. And the one difference between XRP and the rest of every other asset on this planet is that XRP has the potential to decouple at any moment. Despite World War III, despite countries going through civil war, despite our economy back home, going into recession, stock market wiping out 3.8 trillion in the past week, XRP is in a reality of its own, and that reality will be realized, and the masses will realize it once this case finally concludes, and then XRP does start to decouple, and it rises from the ashes like a phoenix. Now, let's take a look here. I want to show you gold and silver real quick. Like I said, gold got beat up and smacked like it always does when there's a stock market meltdown, down to 2,363, a level of support that we are building up right now. But we're already back above 2,400. Okay. Now, like I said, if we see more downside, expect more downside on gold and silver as well. As more people get margin called, they will have to sell. Same thing happening in silver. If you were looking to pick up silver for sub $30 per ounce, well, now's a good time, because even if the dealer's slapping on a $2-3 premium, you're still at about $30 per ounce silver. So if you guys appreciate my updates, the work that we've been doing to generate an analysis that, yeah, we're bullish on assets, our fundamentals are fantastic, but I've been sounding the alarm. We've been warning about this. I've been saying that the greatest transfer of wealth in world history doesn't mean that everybody wins. Everybody won during the participation trophy economy that we had over the past 10 years with the lowest interest rates in the past 5,000 years. That's not the playing field anymore. And in the meantime, we're watching this. There's panic everywhere else. We're not getting margin called. We're not getting liquidated. Our businesses are still solid. We've been building infrastructure. We've been building side hustles. We've been making moves in precious metals, which are actually acting as a store of value, unlike Bitcoin. And so we remain unshaken. We remain unfazed. We will not relent. Our thesis is playing out. We are directly over the target. And if you appreciate what I do here, please make sure to like this video, share it out far and wide. I got more content coming. This past weekend, by the way, I officially did the deal and got married to wifey. So now she is the official wifey. And so that's why I was kind of gone this weekend. I dropped a couple videos that I'd recorded beforehand. But we are back in action. I am officially a married man. You know that she already had me by the you-know-what. But it's official now, and as happy as can be, as blessed as ever. And here we are, watching our thesis play out. You know what happens next, folks. We will rise from this stronger than ever before. So please hang with us. Please share it out far and wide. Everything's at ZachRector.com. And may God bless you all. Thank you. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.